Why you always lying?
Under a couple of videos I released in the past week, I got several comments requesting that I talk about Kelly, who tried to push his latest album by talking about Eminem yet again. And I've ignored those comments for one reason, and that's because I was saving my opinion for the right time, which is now, since we got some facts to talk about, and now we can't say for a fact that Kelly has released his worst performing album ever throughout his career, and I'll explain why this is so interesting, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the next couple of minutes. Before we continue, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy content like this, and also check out my second channel, Chat by Proxy, at the link that pops up now, as I'll be releasing something on there later today or tomorrow. So I remember when Kelly claimed he sold 20 million, and I did my research and proved his claim false in a video I released last year that you can find at the top right corner now. The video did quite well, and I went into detail on why that's impossible, since in his biggest market, the United States, he was yet to sell even 10 million singles plus albums combined, so yet to sell 10 million records in the US. But that didn't stop his two fans from coming under my videos to argue, and after Binge EP failed and flopped hard, I also talked about it, and his two fans came along to tell me that it's not an album, so it doesn't count. Well, today we're going to be talking about his latest album's first week sales, flopping hard compared to his usual sales, and I wonder what the excuse will be this time around. Binge was an EP, I get it, but this time, Hotel Diablo is an album, so we'll see. Now, before we talk about the new album's first week sales tanking, let's revisit his older albums that didn't set even his hometown on fire, but at least were decent and stable. We head back to Lace Up. His debut studio album opened in the United States with first week pure sales of 57,000 copies, and at this time, there was no such thing as equivalent sales, so it performed okay. We'll move on to his second studio album, General Admission, and for this album, pure sales dropped to 49,000 copies, but things stayed stable with equivalent sales added that bumped its first week sales to 56,000. All things considered, his first week performance remained quite stable, but you can see why frustration started setting in for MGK. This was someone that some hyped up to at least see similar career growth to Eminem, but here was MGK with his second album that took a few steps back rather than forward and needed equivalent sales to remain flat, so no growth. We move on to Bloom, his third studio album, and with another flat release, you can see why MGK got desperate. Bloom had his biggest hit ever, where with the help of Camila Cabello, he finally had one top 10 hit in the United States, his only so far in his career. But that wasn't enough for the album to represent a spike in his career. Bloom opened with pure sales of 38,000 and equivalent sales of 57,000 once again in its first week of release, so pure sales steadily going down and equivalent sales remaining flat. Now, I don't know about you guys, but look at this from MGK's perspective and understand. If you had a rap career and hype of MGK,
but if the only reason I blow is cause I'm white, though why don't every other white rapper sell what I sold?
Be honest, you'd also be pissed after your career peaked with the first album. Any artist will be pissed with this kind of performance, so I understand his frustration. But what he decided to do with this frustration is where everything went downhill for MGK, as he decided to poke the hornet's nest to resuscitate his flat career on decline. After Rap Devil represented an all-time high in popularity for MGK worldwide, just like anyone would, he decided to capitalize on his newly found global fame and released Binge EP just in time to cash in. But it flopped harder than flip-flops would while jogging. It opened with first week sales of 21,000 equivalent units sold and fell off the charts completely in its third week, and now we're at his latest album. So Hotel Diablo released a few days ago, and its first week sales are in, with some records for MGK as far as albums go in his career. These are no positive records, but a record is a record and we have to give credit where it's due. Hotel Diablo has now recorded MGK's lowest ever pure albums and equivalent album first week sales ever, and for the first time in his career, he's moved from a streak of flat equivalent sales in 3 albums to his first nosedive. In terms of pure sales, Hotel Diablo opened with 16,000 copies, which is half of what Bloom, his last album, sold first week. It doesn't stop there, as even based on equivalent sales, MGK has dropped from the high 50Ks he's enjoyed for albums to 30K now, as the new album opened with equivalent sales of 39,000, down from 57,000 for his last album. So for those that praise him for poking the hornet's nest and refuse to buy his latest album, shame on you guys, and I'm not trolling here. Shame on you guys for pumping him up and leaving him to crash, as facts show that he's lost nearly half of his relatively small fan base, so good job Eminem haters turned MGK fans for 5 minutes. The album couldn't even make the top 40 in the UK, and the last time my predictions were this accurate, I had just won thousands of pounds, but here I'll settle for the hope that you guys will share this video on social media. Leave your thoughts below, subscribe if you haven't, like and share, and I'll see you on the next one. And now I'm back to streaming Remember the Name for another 24 hours.